Well, an absolutely beautiful Memorial Day weekend continuing here north of the border. Look outside Rogers Center, where for the second straight day the roof is open. A little bit of a breeze here inside the ballpark in Toronto. The Mariners have their eyes set on a series sweep against the Blue Jays, as the Mariners enter right now winners of their last two games under 500. Third place in the American League West, taking on the Blue Jays in last place in the East. And Mike, how about a look at today's Mariners starting lineup?
Today's starting lineup brought to you by Chevron. Leading off, it will be Brad Miller. Then it's Seth Smith. Look what he's done in day games. A .524 average with 8 extra base hits per Seth. He will hit second. Cano, the DH today, hitting third. Cruz, Seager, and Morrison hitting in the middle of the lineup. Castillo getting his second start. He will hit seventh. And it's Ackley and Taylor rounding out the 9 for the Mariners.
First pitch on the way to Brad Miller, misses upstairs. So we will have our first look at Miller at second base as his carousel work of defensive utility continues. Seen him in all 3 outfield spots. Of course, at shortstop, we've seen him DH. The Mariners have 2 series sweeps on the season, most recently at home against the Oakland Athletics. They had a sweep on the road earlier this year in Arlington against Texas. Mariners now 3-2 on the trip, coming off a 6-3 homestand. 2-2 on Brad. And each win so far on this road trip has come along with a quality start by a Mariners pitcher. No coincidence. Appeal, full count. Seth Smith getting ready on deck. Sanchez, 22 years old, out of Barstow, California, which is halfway between Los Angeles and the Nevada border. Last year was in the bullpen for the Blue Jays. A leadoff walk, and Mike, this is something the Mariners will try to do often today against Sanchez.
Well, I think that they have to. When you look at him, he doesn't give up a lot of hits compared to the innings that he has pitched, but 32 walks. As you look at the rest of his numbers, 32 walks in the 45 and a third that he has pitched. That's a big number. So he'll help you out. He'll put some runners on base. Batting average against him just .228. He has given up 5 home runs this year. 3-4 record for Sanchez. He will use his fastball a lot. He'll be above 70% with his fastball. Also a curveball and a changeup.
Strike one to Seth Smith. You can see there the velocity, 95 miles an hour. Lefties have pummeled Sanchez this year, batting nearly .320. All 5 homers that Sanchez has allowed, coming against left-handed hitters. Hard hit, skipping through. Smith the base hit. Miller holds up at second base. So the first 2 men reaching. A walk and now a single.
And the defense for the Blue Jays brought to you by American Family Insurance. Colabello has been in right, out in left field today. Pilar, the center fielder. Carrera is in right. Donaldson getting the start at third base. Goins and Kawasaki playing up the middle. Justin Smoke getting his first start of the series at first base, and Russell Martin will do the catching.
Now a chance today for Robinson Cano to rest his legs a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's something that Lloyd talked about at the start of this series. When you look at Toronto, 3 days on this turf, and then going to Tampa 3 more days, he wanted to give the guys a break. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Kyle Seager in the next few days, maybe getting an opportunity to DH or just get the day off. Trying to save these guys some aches and pains on their knees, lower back. 6 straight days on the turf.
Martin out for a quick chat as Sanchez falls behind right away, 1-0 to Cano. Mariners threatening already. A walk and then a single by Seth Smith. Sanchez last year had immediate success in the big leagues in the bullpen for the Blue Jays. In fact, the Mariners saw him last season. He picked up the save in that Taijuan Walker Mark Burley game where Walker was sensational. And there was really plans for John Gibbons, the manager of the Blue Jays, to use Sanchez as his closer this season. You can see the overpowering velocity that he has. But when Marcus Stroman went down with an ACL injury, Stroman out for the year, he would have been the opening day starter. Stroman, that is. That really forced Sanchez into the rotation. So this is not exactly the plan that the Blue Jays had in mind. Kawasaki on to second base. Low throw, but a snag on to first. And a double play. Miller survives. He's at third base.
We'll take a look at the fastball, and Kawasaki getting the start at second. A poor throw, but Goins, the shortstop, able to handle it. So an awkward looking double play, but the Jays able to turn it.
So 2 outs, a man at third base for Nelson Cruz. Nelson now tied for the league lead in average. Jimmy Paredes, who we just saw in Baltimore, now has enough at bats to qualify, and both Paredes and Cruz batting .352. Up the middle, will it get through? Picked up there, Goins on to first base. A stretch by Smoke. Cruz is safe and a run is in. Miller makes it 1-0.
And Smoke immediately looks into the Blue Jays dugout. And they're taking a quick look at the replay to see if they want to come out, challenge it. Already an important play. We'll take another look at it. Goins gets rid of it quickly, and Smoke thinks he was able to keep his toe on the base. It's hard to tell from that angle.
Well, his foot definitely comes up off. The question is, when did he have the ball?
Exactly. When is it in the back of his glove? And right there, again, it's hard to tell.
Now they will challenge this.
The good news for the Mariners is he was called safe, so we'll see if there's enough there to overturn it.
You can see Miller looking on. And credit for Cruz for really legging that out. As they make the call across the border back to New York to see if in fact Cruz will stay safe at first base, it would make it an early 1-0 lead for the Mariners. And we know that Smoke is one of the better defensive first basemen in the American League, if not in the game. And a good stretch there by Justin.
I think one of the things that maybe have helped the Mariners out there was Goins when he was coming across the bag, more of a sidearm flip. And I think the ball, Justin strides out to get the ball, and it starts to run back up the line towards Cruz. And I think that may have pulled him off the base. Well, I'll take a look again. It's hard to tell.
Boy, it is. You can see what Willie Bloomquist thinks in the background. Just put Willie on the headset.
Okay.
He'll tell you what happened.
Okay.
They have not shown the replay much on the video board here inside Rogers Center. They showed it once or twice. Which normally you can hear the oohs and ahs of the crowd, as now looks like the headsets are about to come off. We await the verdict. And they call him out. Enough evidence back at the replay review center in New York to overturn the call. So no run for the Mariners. We go to the bottom of the first, scoreless. Well, so much for 1-0. We are scoreless. Justin Smoak making a fine stretch at first base on a strong throw from Goins, and the call overturned. So Miller not scoring from third base. Mike, how about a look at today's Blue Jays lineup?
Josh Donaldson going to lead things off, and then it'll be Russell Martin. Martin moves up to hitting second. Batista out of the lineup today, and Carnacion, the DH. Then it's Colabello. Justin Smoak, he will hit fifth in the lineup. Then it's Carrera, Pilar, Goins, and Kawasaki also getting the start today. He rounds out the 9 for the Blue Jays.
Donaldson leading off once again. This is the 7th time this year. The only 7 times in his career, in fact. Routine pop-up. Seager out number 1. Pretty nice start for Walker.
And a pretty good fastball on the first pitch, 95 miles an hour. As we take a look at the numbers for Walker, 7.47 ERA, 19 walks and 37 in a third. Want to stay away from the walks, especially here in this ballpark. 36 strikeouts for him. High batting average against at 321. And the defense, Dustin Eckley getting the start in center field. Brad Miller will come into the infield again, but at second base this time, and Wellington Castillo will do the catching for the Mariners.
Facing the catcher, Russell Martin. Now, we were talking about Sanchez making his 9th big league start today for the Blue Jays. For Taiwan, this is career start number 17 in the big leagues, only 22. And he's ahead on Martin, 0-2.
And Martin didn't like the call. It looked as if that pitch was inside, but it was his best fastball so far, 96 miles an hour.
The 0-2. Inside once again, but too much. Taijuan Walker began the road trip for the Mariners. He could not get through the 4th inning in Baltimore. As he skips a curveball in. In fact, for Taijuan this year, we have seen starts where he's pitched brilliantly and gone deeper into games, and then, like the start in Baltimore, less than 80 pitches. In fact, he's thrown less than 80 pitches in half of his starts so far this season.
I think at times Lloyd McClendon is watching him, and we were talking about his velocity before the start of the game. There's another good fastball in on Martin's hands.
This time to Taylor. Round number 2. Now we go back to the call that was overturned, and this is the definitive view that the review officials back in New York went with. You can see Smoak's left foot on the bag and the catch.
But I think Lloyd with Walker watches him closely, and we talked about the velocity. If that is down, and then if it looks as if he's getting into bad counts, walking some hitters, I think he takes him out of the game a little bit earlier than maybe he would with a veteran pitcher that he knows more about.
Certainly get that sense. Well, back-to-back fastball strikes, 97 and 96.
Lloyd is happy right now.
We have happy Lloyd inside the Mariners dugout, and you can understand why. Right back to Taijuan Walker, and Sky Walker makes the squeeze bill high. Mariners a quick 1-2-3 bottom of the first inning. A couple of pop-ups, and then right back to Taijuan, a little buddy hop. Arms raised high. We're through 1 inning in Toronto, scoreless. Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by your local Ford stores. By the Emerald Queen Casino, presenting Gordon Lightfoot June 26th. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. By Alaska Airlines, enjoy free entertainment on your personal device. Learn more at alaskaair.com. And by Safeco Insurance, find a local agent at safeco.com. Do more. So 3 up, 3 down, spun by Taijuan Walker. You had to really like what you saw there.
He looked really good at fastball velocity, 95 to 97 miles an hour, but more importantly, pitching inside. Jammed a couple of the hitters.
Sanchez back out for his second inning of work. The Mariners looked like they were beginning to pin Sanchez against the ropes a little bit early. But a double play ball, then a call overturned, helped him get through a scoreless first.
And for Sanchez, we talked about his fastball, that one at 96 miles an hour. And there's another power pitcher that's a ground ball pitcher, and it sounds funny to say that because typically it's the guys that are in the low 90s with a good changeup. And he does throw a changeup. That was a curveball, but he's third in the American League in ground ball percentage, right around 60%. And you talking, Aaron, you were talking about the opportunity that the Mariners had in that first inning.
Seager homered last night. Can he homer again? This is crushed. Kyle Seager homers back-to-back ball games, making number 7 on the season, and the Mariners have taken the lead.
For Kyle, his 7th home run on the year. He now extends his hitting streak to 10 games, so he's been on a good little run for the Mariners. Third baseman heating up. Take a look at the pitch that he hits out. Breaking ball, that's the curve ball. Ends up in the middle of the plate, and Kyle hits every bit of it.
First pitch to Logan Morrison. Missing. Well, we mentioned the numbers that left-handed hitters have against Sanchez, and now with that, all 6 homers that he's given up have come to guys who swing from the left side.
And take a look at our Alaska Supermo. 12-6 curveball. Right in the middle of the plate at the knees.
And that curveball has been a good pitch for Sanchez. Opponents batting just 125 against it this year. That has been one of his better offerings.
So Kyle is really hot then.
Exactly. 2-1 to Lomo. Makes it 2-2. And this has been a remarkable series for Kyle, even by his own standards. We have seen him make some just tremendous plays defensively.
I think he's had a great series in the field and really helped out his pitching. The pitching has been excellent in the series, which is what they needed to have. When you look at Toronto,
slicing the opposite way, Colabello right there, round number 1.
When you look at Toronto offensively, they're 5th in average, 1st in runs scored, 1st in doubles, 4th in home runs. So the pitching has done their job, but the defense has really stepped up. And Kyle, as you mentioned, having an excellent series. But we've seen Taylor make some plays, Cano, some of the guys in the outfield also helping out, Logan Morrison. It's been a good series for him on the pitching and defensive side of things.
Trying to break out the brooms today. They've got the early lead on Sanchez and company. Well, then Castillo, his first at-bat. 2 for 7 in his young Mariners career after coming over in the trade for Everest Medina with the Cubs. And he's ahead 2-0. Just clips the outside corner, 2-1. Castillo got his Mariners career off to a nice start in Baltimore. Sacrifice fly in his first at bat. Make it 2-2. And Mike Zunino getting a day off today. You saw Mike catching Paxton yesterday in game 2. Of course, Zunino was behind the plate in game 1 against Felix. Off the handle and a soft liner to smoke off the bat. 2 outs. Well, would you like to win tickets to Kyle Seager bobblehead night? Text Seager to 71532 and you could win 2 tickets in the commissioner's box plus your very own Kyle Seager collectible Gold Glover replica. That is at 71532. 0-1 to Ackley. We haven't seen much of Ackley lately. We saw him as a defensive replacement in yesterday's game. Made a sliding catch.
Getting his first start of the series. It was perfect timing yesterday. Lloyd puts him in for defense, and they try him right away when he makes that sliding catch that you're talking about, Aaron.
This is something that Torrey Hunter once said to a young baseball player. He said, even if you are 0 for 4 at the plate, you need to play defense like you're 4 for 4. We know the struggles that Ackley has had offensively, but for the most part, it has not carried over to his work in the outfield. He's been fantastic.
No, he really has played well in the outfield. Especially now getting a chance to play some center field with Jackson out.
Slaps this deep into the corner. It's a foul ball. Now, when Ackley is right, this is the type of hits that we see Dustin getting up the middle and into the corner.
Typically, you'll see him hit the fastball up the middle the other way, and then when they throw him a bad breaking ball or hang a changeup, that's a pitch that you'll see go more towards right center field. They leave it up in the zone. He can hit the ball out of the ballpark, but you're right, Aaron, and it's just a matter for him. You know, we've talked about it, the inconsistency of where he has been this year. He started off in great shape, and then he's had his struggles, and he's just trying to get it going again. And I would think that this would be a pretty good matchup for Dustin today because Sanchez has a good fastball. If you know a guy throws hard, you're going to be ready to hit, and he's going to see a lot of fastballs today. So you just hope that he gets in a position to where he can cover them, and if he can do that, maybe pick up a couple of base hits.
Stays alive,
and he stays after him. But eventually, if you miss those fastballs, he's going to throw that good curveball you were talking about, or possibly the changeup. So for Dustin, early in counts, if he can be aggressive and get after the fastball, I think he would have a pretty good chance to hit some line drives today.
2-2 inside on that pitch. Now Sanchez made his first big league start in early April against the Orioles and was hit around. Did not last long. This one off the handle, snared by Smoke. Races to the bag, and that'll do it for the Mariners in the second. But Kyle Seager leading things off, his 7th bomb of the season, and it was crushed. Favor of the Mariners as we take a look at the Mariners calendar, brought to you by Sleep Country USA. You can see the road trip getting near the final leg in Tampa Bay. It'll be Elias, Happ, and Felix. Boy, what a great pitching matchup to wrap up the road trip on a Wednesday in Tampa Bay. That'll be a day game. The King versus young power righty Chris Archer. Colabello fouls off the first pitch, strike one. And we go back to the Ford Sports Desk. We bring in Dave Valley. And Val, what are your thoughts today on a young Taijuan Walker working for the first time with his new catcher, Wellington Castillo?
Hey, Val, I was talking to Rick Waits when we were in Baltimore, and one of the questions that I asked him is, do you talk to your starters about the ballpark, if it's a hitter-friendly ballpark, and do you make adjustments to that? And he said that they do, and he said for pitchers, especially young pitchers, they're usually surprised. He said, yeah, we're going to change things up. I want you to pitch inside even more. And he talked about how important that is. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Now, when you take a look at Taijuan Walker so far this year, we know that there have been some really good moments so far this year for Taijuan Walker. There have been some struggles. Can you relate it to somebody else in terms that you've either played with or against, or that you've seen just the difference in velocity for a young pitcher? Is this something that maybe Taijuan, just in the early stages of his career, will be dealing with?
I think that it's interesting, Val, when you look at Walker and even Sanchez for the Blue Jays, two young pitchers, both of them the same age, really. When you're talking about pitching and being inconsistent with his velocity, with his command and the different things, as a young pitcher that's going through this, what point in the season do you expect him to kind of figure things out and be more consistent with the stuff that he has won, or maybe even the command? Good stuff there. Thank you, Dave Valley, back at the Ford Sports Desk. As Carrera squares one up, but Cruz, the latest adjustment, makes the catch, 2 outs. Colabello at first base after the leadoff walk, and we have seen Taijuan get ahead of hitters early. First pitch strikes to everyone but one batter, the last man that he just retired there, Carrera. And he's still getting in on their hands. His velocity is excellent today. He's being very aggressive with his fastball. Now facing Pilar, 2 outs. Starts him off again with a strike. And it's a strike on the inside corner. Off the hands is Squibber. Taylor. Easy flip to Brad Miller at second base today for Cano. Colabello is out at second. Pilar, fielder's choice. We've played 2 under the sunshine here in Toronto. Mariners have the lead.
The third inning. One hop your way home. Take Link Light Rail to the airport for just $3. Schedules available at soundtransit.org. I'm glad you could join us on a gorgeous Sunday afternoon here from inside Rogers Center. Aaron Goldsmith, Mike Flowers, our entire Root Sports crew, as Chris Taylor begins things in the top of the third against Aaron Sanchez, who brushes him back. Sanchez coming off of his best start of the season and thus of his career. He pitched into the 8th inning, allowed just 3 runs against the Angels. Angels surprisingly have really struggled offensively this year. 2 balls and a strike.
See what Sanchez did against the Angels. Went 7 1/3, 6 hits, 3 earned runs.
All right, past Kawasaki into right field. Taylor stings it the other way, and he is aboard a leadoff single.
We talked about Sanchez and the velocity of his fastball, but looking at it early on, he has a lot of movement to it and was concentrating on Russell Martin, the veteran catcher. And if you watch him when he calls for the fastball, he is setting up right in the middle of the plate. And I think that has to do with the problems that Sanchez had earlier in the year with his command. He's going to set up in the middle of the plate and then let his fastball work its way to the edges as opposed to trying to just hit the edges. That's a breaking ball, and a pretty good one.
Of course, Russell Martin, part of the reason he was brought over, a big free agent splash by the Blue Jays, was to work with many of their young pitchers like Sanchez. Now in the rotation for the first time in his big league career. To center field, Pilar twisting and turning back in the shadows. Out number 1. Now Miller gave it a ride, but not deep enough.
And I'm watching Martin now, and he's talking to Tony Randazzo, the home plate umpire. And I'm sure part of that conversation is telling Tony, listen, stay with the fastball with me. I'm going to set up in the middle. He has good movement. There was one fastball, I thought it was to Taylor, that was ended up on the outside corner. It was called a ball. So another thing about a veteran catcher back there working with the umpire a little bit, because the umpires would prefer him to sit on the corners. It makes their job easier. But on the fastball, again, he's setting up on right in the middle. And I'm sure he's telling Randazzo to try to stay with his young pitcher.
Russell Martin has talked about working with Sanchez this year, and one of the things that Martin and Sanchez have worked on, it's interesting, there's some parallels between Sanchez and Martin and Zunino and Taijuan Walker. And that is, they've really been working on Sanchez not nibbling quite so much. Brett Cecil, now the closer for the Blue Jays, kind of eavesdropped on a conversation that Sanchez and Martin had. And Cecil said, hey man, have you seen your sinker? Have you seen your fastball? There's no reason blowing 95, 96 that you should be nibbling.
No, and I think, again, for young pitchers, sometimes, Aaron, they maybe understand that, but the minute somebody squares that pitch up, then they start to go to the edges a little bit more or abandon their fastball. And you see more breaking balls and changeups. And you have to stay with it. And that's one of the hardest things to do, because they're just probably not used to seeing that. And then all of a sudden a guy squares one up, and you want to get away from the game plan as Seth Smith gets a walk.
Second walk today from Aaron Sanchez. The Mariners have now 2 on. Taylor into second. 1 out for Robinson Cano. Now it really goes back to our conversation about James Paxton and how Paxton has thrown about almost 85% fastballs his last few starts. And when asked, well, why haven't you done this more? Why don't more pitchers do this more who have overpowering stuff like you do, like James Paxton does? He said, well, it flies in the face of what we've been taught, which is to mix things up, to change speeds.
Right, and I think that the other thing we've seen with James, that's 3 games in a row where he's been north of 80% on his fastball, is look at where his velocities are now.
He's pumping it in.
He is throwing hard.
Chance with a runner in scoring position for Cano. In this series, the Mariners 3 for 14, including the first 2 innings today with runners in scoring position.
0 for 2 this afternoon.
Smith at first, Taylor at second. No DHing today. Up the middle. Goins to the bag and on to first. That'll do it. Cano into the double play. The Mariners strand a man. And through 2.5, Mariners have the lead. Sports is brought to you by Audi, Truth in Engineering, by BNSF Railway, sponsor of the BNSF Blast, and by Volkswagen. Hurry in and get a deal during the Volkswagen Stop Streaming, Start Driving event. And who knows what you'll see around the waterfront here in Toronto.
How about a really tall pirate?
I did not see that one coming, Mike, I'll be honest. That's good stuff, though. Beautiful CN Tower, almost as tall. So here is Goins to begin things in the bottom of the third. He started the double play to end the top half. Mariners have scored the lone run so far today. That was Kyle Seager, his 7th home run of the season. Taijuan has been very efficient so far today. In fact, he's had 2 at-bats where he's needed just 1 pitch for an out.
Well, so far 23 pitches, 15 strikes.
And he's ahead 1-2. Pitching coach Rick Waits has talked a number of times about things that he would like to see Taijuan Walker incorporate in each start. And one of the things that Waits has mentioned is the potential that Taijuan has to be an incredibly intimidating and imposing figure on the mound. As Taijuan bobbles, does he recover? Yes.
He's also a great athlete to stay with that play, still be able to find first base and get the out. You can see how quickly he gets off the mound. But a good job of staying with the play. The hardest part was finding the base because he has his eyes clearly on the ball at this point, trying to get the baseball. It's an athletic move.
Now, he was called Skywalker in high school back in Yucaipa, California for his 360 dunks on the basketball team. And even when he was in AAA, Jack Sorensic, when asked who's the best athlete in your system, he said Taijuan Walker, including the big leagues. So we know the type of things that Taijuan can do, athletically speaking, for a position that, let's face it, a lot of hitters like to refer to pitchers as not being the most athletic. But Taijuan breaks that mold.
It's hard to imagine, but think of him in high school as a shortstop with his size.
That's a good point, yeah.
And typically, when you're playing at that level, your best athletes are going to play short, center field.
2-0 on Kawasaki, batting ninth. We saw him in game 1, had yesterday off. Taijuan falls behind. This is the second 3-ball count from Walker. The last time was to Colabello, who drew a leadoff walk back in the second. It's a strike. And a walk with 1 out to Kawasaki, the number 9 hitter. Second walk today for Walker. Well, the next installment of the Mariners Player Poster Series is set for Sunday, May 31st, when the Mariners meet the Indians. It is Felix Hernandez Poster Day for all kids, courtesy of Aquafina. For tickets, all you have to do, just visit Mariners.com. The King pitching well in this series. We saw Felix a run over 7 innings in game 1. Mariners looking for the sweep today. Donaldson at the plate, ball 1. Donaldson's first year in Toronto. Coming all the way from Oakland. That was a bit of a surprise trade during the offseason. And a strike there from Walker.
Aaron, you mentioned Paxton earlier and the amount of fastballs, but I think the other thing that we've seen from him is pitch inside consistently. And we have seen him stay with that 2-3 times through the lineup. This will be the second time through the lineup for Taijuan, and there's a good fastball just missing the inside corner. But I know it's something that Rick Waits has talked about. I know when I spoke to him when we were in Baltimore, Rick was telling me the same thing. Don't change what you're doing just to make a change. If it's because they're making an adjustment, that's okay. But if they're not, stay right where you're at. Another good fastball in on his hands.
Out of Castillo's range. In other words, don't be the first to change.
If it's working.
Yeah. Another pitch inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Donaldson, the tying run. Kawasaki is at first base. Kawasaki back in time. Donaldson off to a nice start with his new team, batting just over 300. He's homered 9 times, has driven in nearly 30. Part of what has made the Blue Jays the top run scoring outfit in baseball. Strike 3 called. Taijuan Walker gets him with a heater. Donaldson not too pleased about it. You could see a little bit of a borderline pitch. Walker gets his first punch out.
You have an opportunity to get more of those pitches if you consistently stay in that area and show that you can throw them for strikes. Pretty good movement on this fastball. It runs just off the inside corner. Castillo able to frame it, and Donaldson clearly not happy about it.
Two outs. Kawasaki, the tying run, is still at first base as Castillo out to pay a visit. So in other words, the more you can stay in the strike zone as opposed to getting wild with it, the more that the umpire's eyes can get trained in one spot.
Yeah, and I think that because so many pitchers like to pitch away, that you miss pitches on that inside corner at times. But when you're consistently staying in there and you show that you can throw strikes on the inside corner, you're going to get a few more calls that maybe are borderline or just off the plate.
Second time through the order now for Taijuan Walker. First pitch to Russell Martin, another pop-up. This has been an early storyline. Easy play for Seager, and that'll do it for the Blue Jays. Kawasaki stranded at first base, and through 3 innings, the Mariners are on top. big league history, and now a Hall of Famer, Randy Johnson, punching out 15 in a Mariners win at the Kingdome. And blow happy anniversary.
Oh, yeah, they're in the
8 runs batted in, tying a franchise record. Alvin Davis, Mike Cameron as well, but almost a cycle that day. In fact, I'd like to think that you had the cycle, Mike. You actually had more than the cycle.
I actually did, because the only hit I didn't get was the single. I had 2 doubles, a triple, and a home run that day.
It's good stuff. So here is Nelson Cruz to begin the top of the 4th.
And I'll have to say that it was right about the right time for me, because I think Lou was getting to the point where he'd seen just about enough there. Well, I've been struggling.
That almost sounds like a direct quote. Was there a steak dinner involved with this somehow?
There was. I was struggling. I was struggling against right-handed pitching, and Pena from the Red Sox came in to pitch in the ball game, and Lou came out of the dugout, told me that he would buy me a steak if I would get a hit against a right-handed pitcher, and ended up hitting it off the wall in left center field. So it was nice to get a free meal out of the deal.
No kidding.
Yeah.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Cruz. Yeah, word has it, Mike, that you were hitting about $120 entering that game. I didn't want to bring it up, but it seemed appropriate.
And it really was not that.
Cruz goes diving after it. Martin completes the strikeout. Sanchez strikes out his first man as Seager is due up. And with that in mind, we'll take a look at the T-Mobile game changer for today. And Mike, back-to-back games for Kyle Seager.
Yeah, and yesterday, Kyle with a home run in yesterday's game. This time he gets a 12-6 curveball in the middle of the plate, right about knee high, and he gives it a pretty good ride for his 7th home run, but more importantly, giving the Mariners the lead.
Seager, a 10-game hitting streak with that home run today. It mentions the success that Sanchez had last year in the bullpen. Only 4 earned runs over 33 innings. And if you think his fastball's got some life now, you see that one at 97. There were multiple times last year when Sanchez could just let it rip for 1 inning at a time that he would hit 98. Seager behind with 1 out, nobody on. 2-2. And you can see now the Mariners inching a little closer to the Astros in terms of home run leaders in the American League. In fact, only the Dodgers and the Astros, if you look at the grand landscape of Major League Baseball, have more home runs if you include the National League there. Problem for the Mariners have been that a lot of those home runs have been solo shots. Seager down on strikes. Looked like maybe the cutter that time from Sanchez. 2 outs. So Sanchez had not struck out a man over the first 3 innings. It gets back-to-back strikeouts to open up the 4th. But that had a lot of drop to it.
I think it was his changeup
at 91.
Yeah, his changeup, his average changeup is 89 in that range.
Ball 1 to Lomo. Logan a stiff line out to left field back in the 2nd. And he's ahead of the count. Well, the Mariners have had their share of close ball games, of course, all season. This trip has been no exception. The only game of this trip decided by more than 2 runs. 2 runs. No more of this 3-run business, but 2 runs on this road trip. The 9-4 loss at Baltimore. A lot of close games all season long, and especially in Baltimore, now in Toronto, and then after this one on to Tampa Bay. Hard hit towards the line, back of the corner. It is a fair ball. Extra bases for Logan Morrison as he turns it to second at the green light on a 3-0 count. Some 2-out life for the Mariners.
And we'll see this a lot over the course of the summer from the Mariners. Lloyd McClendon likes to let his guys swing 3-0, especially if there are 2 outs. You mentioned the solo home runs. Why not try to get yourself into scoring position or possibly hit one out of the ballpark? And that's exactly what Logan ends up doing with the double down in the corner.
That brings in Castillo. Topper over to third base. Donaldson has time, out number 3. Lomo stranded at second base. And that'll do it for the Mariners at the top of the 4th. We go to the home half. Mariners still have the 1-0 lead. And Taijuan Walker today, Mike, only 1 strikeout. We've seen a lot of pop-ups, some fly ball outs as well.
No, but he's been efficient, and he's had a really good fastball, and he's constantly jamming the Blue Jays this afternoon. So some easy outs. You can see this little jam, easy ground ball for Chris Taylor at shortstop again. Another pop-up from Martin in on his hands.
And the report card on Taijuan, as you can see, the pitch efficiency there, less than 40 pitches to get through the first 3 innings. You mentioned in the first, Mike, that this was some of the best that we have seen Taijuan Walker, and it looks like that's continued for the next 2 innings.
Right out of the gate, and I would say this, he appears to me, Aaron, and you were talking a little bit about it earlier in the game, intimidating. Well, it looks to me as if he's throwing his fastball with some anger today, and that is a positive.
As you see that one at 96 miles an hour. Ahead 0-2 to Encarnacion, who lined right back to Taijuan earlier in the ball game. When you say angry fastball, it makes me immediately think of Brandon Maurer. That was really one of the transformations for Brandon. It was all of a sudden he had a severe edge to him when he was in the bullpen, and we saw a different guy in terms of his overall mentality and how he attacked hitters.
No, you're right, and for Brandon it was going to the bullpen, the time in between, and the amount of thought he would put into his starts, I think ended up really holding him back, because when he went out to the bullpen, you're exactly right, we start to see 97, 98 from him. I don't think that's really an issue with Taijuan.
No.
I think that he, and I think that's part of the pitching inside too, because sometimes it's going to get away from you and going back in there again and misses with it. But sometimes the fastball in is going to get away from you. And I think if you have a look or your reaction to that as give me the ball and go right back in there again, that sends a message. And I think that opens up the rest of the plate for you.
Leadoff walk to Encarnacion. That brings in Colabello. Long road for Colabello. 7 years in the independent leagues in Worcester, Massachusetts, before he finally got his break in the big leagues with the Twins. In fact, his first big league home run came in extra innings 2 years ago against the Mariners, against Yoervis Medina. Gotten off to a nice start with his new employers, the Blue Jays, batting nearly .380. Has homered in this series. And it's 0-2. Walker's 0-2 pitch to center field. Here comes Ackley. Calls off Cruz and makes the catch. 1 out. Encarnacion has to stay put. Tuesday, June 2nd will be a golden night at Safeco Field as the Mariners host the Yankees. It is Kyle Seager Gold Glove bobblehead night, courtesy of Root Sports. For the first 20,000 fans, get your tickets today at Mariners.com and be sure to arrive early on June 2nd. 1 out, 1 on for Justin Smoke, who flew out to center field his last time up. The shift on for Smoke. Seager much closer to second base. And it's 0-2.
You're talking about Seager getting closer to second base with Smoke. We certainly don't expect him to try to bunt. The Mariners know that, obviously. But I think that Kyle, when Walker's on the mound, will move over more and can play a little bit deeper because Taijuan is such a good athlete. Give him an opportunity to field the bunt if they try it.
You're right. We saw it earlier from Taijuan, and in some effects it almost feels a little bit like having an extra infielder there. Not that you have to have the supreme athleticism of Taijuan Walker. Dallas Keuchel won the Gold Glove last year in the American League for pitchers. Keuchel, a ground ball guy, so a lot of opportunities coming back to him at the mound.
No, you're right. And I think that if you have that at your disposal, why not use it?
Shallow right field. Cruz fights the sun just a bit. Out number 2.
I know for myself, the best fielding pitcher that I ever played with was Kenny Rogers, the left-hander. And when we were teammates in Oakland, I came in early in the season to take the bunt away a couple of times on some hitters that I knew had the possibility of bunting, and he would move me back.
Really?
And I finally asked him about it, and he said, I want you to get as much range as you can back. I have everything to the line. Now, saying that and doing it are two separate things, and Kenny was as good as anybody getting off the mound and helping himself out. And I'm sure over the course of the summer there were ground balls I was able to get to because I didn't have to play so shallow. I was able to play deeper.
So he was directing a little bit of traffic there on the infield for you guys.
Well, and I think you can do the same thing with Taijuan at times.
0-1 to Carrera. Encarnacion at first base with the walk. Taijuan has been able to work around the 3 walks that he's dealt out so far. 2 of them have been to the leadoff man. 1 of them has been to the number 9 hitter. So walks are never ideal, but certainly in those situations even less desirable. But they've been held at bay so far. Miller, the backhand, the flip. And that gets Taijuan Walker and the Mariners out of the 4th inning. Nice work from Brad Miller getting the start today at second base for DH Robinson Cano. We go to the 5th. Mariners clinging to the lead. Rogers Center as we take a glance at our Delta Airlines keep climbing standings. And today we look at the American League East. Blue Jays in last place right now, and then it's of course off to Tampa Bay, St. Pete. After this one's over with today, the Rays now a game and a half on top of the Yankees, and Tampa Bay really surprising a lot of people. Of course, Joe Maddon gone, Kevin Cash, the new manager for the Tampa Bay Rays, but they've had some fantastic pitching. There's certainly been a storyline and a thread of their success in the brief franchise history of the Tampa Bay Rays.
You're absolutely right. And then you look at the Yankees, their last 10 games, they are 1-9, lost 5 in a row.
They have been absolutely pummeled. The Yankees have by the Texas Rangers. 2 days ago, the Rangers a 7-run inning against the Yankees. Yesterday, a 10-run inning against the Yankees. And all of a sudden, the Rangers starting to catch a little fire. Prince Fielder, Shin-Soo Choo, both crushing it so far this month. A couple of skips to Kawasaki deep. Out number 1. 1 up, 1 down for Taylor. Mike, I'm telling you, before we get on the flight, you and me time. This can happen. I'll pay for it.
No, it's not going to happen.
But it could. CN Tower. In all honesty, can you believe that people pay for that? Up the middle, Taylor drops it in for a base hit.
He's starting to heat up.
He really is.
That's his second base hit. He's now 2 for 2. Had 2 hits yesterday, including a double.
Puts a man on with 1 out for Brad Miller. Brad enjoying his time here in Toronto. His parents have made the flight north of the border to come see Brad. We see the Millers on a number of road trips over the course of the year. Big leg kick and strike 1. Time call. Mariners run coming on Seager's homer to begin the second. This is a left-handed heavy lineup against Sanchez today, and for good reason. Off the plate, 1 ball and 1 strike. It seems like Brad has really started to embrace his new role as a bit of utility man for the Mariners. We see him at second base today. And that was something that, as a man who had tremendous success in college at Clemson, the ACC Player of the Year, a high draft pick by the Mariners, phenomenal numbers in the minor leagues, somebody who takes a lot of pride in what he does defensively at shortstop. That is easy to be taken as a bit of a blow, but Brad seems to be taking it in stride. 1 out, 1 on. There goes Taylor, swing and a miss, throw to second. Taylor is out. Russell Martin showing off the arm a little bit. A strike him out, throw him out, double play, and that quickly wraps up the top of the 5th. Mariners have a 1-0 lead. This Saturday, join us at Safeco Field for Nelson Cruz Bat Night. All kids receive a Little League-sized Nelson Cruz baseball bat. Line up your tickets today and at Mariners.com, and be sure to arrive early on Saturday for Nelson Cruz Bat Night. Kevin Pillar to begin things for the Blue Jays. Pillar, fielder's choice in the second. We were talking earlier about the similarities between Taijuan Walker and Aaron Sanchez. Today's starter for the Blue Jays, both 22 years old, both throwing 95, 96 miles an hour.
That's trouble.
Drops in. Pillar, a little rainbow into shallow right field. Leadoff man reaches for the Blue Jays for now the third time in 5 innings.
Pretty good fastball. Ends up jamming it right off his hands as he flares it into right field.
Now the Blue Jays have had some base runners over the first 4 innings, 3 walks, but that is their first hit. Against Taijuan Walker, now it's Ryan Goins, the shortstop. Tying run now at first base with some speed. And a pitch out. Now Pillar, the Blue Jays clubhouse leader in steals with 7. Nobody else in the lineup today has more than 2 for Toronto. This is hammered, and this is gone. Goins' first home run this year gives the Blue Jays the lead.
Take a look. You can see Castillo set up on the outside corner, and that pitch ended up middle in for Taijuan, missing his location with that pitch.
Kawasaki showing bunt, taking a strike. So 2 runs in, nobody out. Only the 4th home run in the career of Ryan Goins. Rolls over it to Brad Miller. Nice charge, and out number 1. Back to the top of the order. This brings in Josh Donaldson. What kind of differences for Brad Miller today at second base compared to his usual home at shortstop?
I think, well, we've seen him play in spring training. He's had an opportunity to be on the right side of the diamond. For me, anytime that you're taking somebody that is a regular shortstop and you move them over to the right side of the diamond, the issue more than anything else is turning double plays, just because he's going to have his back to the runner. But we've seen Brad, and he seems to be comfortable doing that. So I don't think it's a big problem for him. But sometimes guys aren't real comfortable doing that.
Strike 1 to Donaldson. Donaldson grew up in Alabama, went to Auburn, was a high draft pick by the Cubs, and traded over to the Oakland A's. Of course, a one-time catcher, now an all-star third baseman. Rushes him back with 96. Donaldson, an avid golfer, he recorded his first birdie. Blow, this will make you jealous. When he was 4 years old. 4 years old. You were, what, 3 and a half at yours? In fact, he was such a good youth golfer, he got on a local news station because of his elite golfing skills. He was a golf savant at a young age, Mike.
Surprised he didn't make it on the Letterman show.
Still 2-2. Blue Jays have taken the lead. The home run by Goins. Donaldson 0 for 2. A strikeout his last time up. With 2 balls and 2 strikes. So all 3 runs in this game combined have come on 2 swings. Seager the homer for the Mariners. Goins a 2-run shot for the Blue Jays. Full count. That time at 98.
Yeah, he's still throwing hard, which is good to see, and he's still using his fastball. Russell Martin waiting on deck.
Longest at bat of the day for Taijuan. Gets him swinging, and there goes the bat. Out number 2, the second strikeout for Taijuan Walker.
And a pretty good cutter. Was able to keep it down and away from Donaldson after the fastball inside. Take another look at it. Down and away, 92 miles an hour.
So Taijuan wins that 8-pitch at bat. Now facing Russell Martin, who stings it to center. And actually has to play on a bounce over his head. And it turns into extra bases for Russell Martin. That's a double for Martin. And now we talked the first game of the series, how spongy this turf is, and this was an issue to watch out for.
Well, and it's something that we talked about yesterday too. Willie Bloomquist getting the start in right field, and we saw Andy Van Slyke, who constantly works with the outfielders, hitting the ball to him before the game, and a lot of it was this kind of play, watching the ball bounce. And Ackley unfortunately thought that he maybe was going to have a chance to make the catch, decided he wasn't going to be able to get there, tried to hold up and keep the ball in front of him, but you can see how high the ball will bounce off of this turf. And for the Mariners, obviously playing on natural grass the entire year until you get here, those are the kind of plays that I think a visiting club is at a little bit of a disadvantage.
You're right, a 2-out 2-base hit for Martin. Here's Encarnacion with Martin at second base. Big rip, 1-1. Now this has been the longest inning for Taijuan Walker here in the 5th. Big hack again, just nips it back to the glove of Castillo. 97.
Right on the inside corner, elevated it a little bit. That is tough for a right-handed hitter to try to get to that pitch.
Walker trying to finish him off. 1-2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. You can see almost 20 pitches this inning. The most so far today. Full count. Colabello on deck. He's been a handful so far the first 2 games of this series. Walker's payoff pitch. Smoked high, very high, and this is gone. A pair of 2-run homers for the Blue Jays here in the 5th inning. And they've suddenly scored 4 times.
Take a look at it. The fastball. It's on the inside corner, but this one is down. We showed you the previous one that was up in the zone a little bit.
That brings in Colabello, as Encarnacion took some time to watch that one sail. Strike 1. And it was Goins with the 2-run shot earlier. Now Encarnacion, his 12th. One ball and 1 strike. Pitch number 24 in this inning coming up for Taijuan Walker. For Taijuan, this is the 3rd time through the order. That makes a difference.
No, it makes a difference. The thing I'm happy about, Aaron, is that he's still throwing hard. That last fastball at 97, it was on the corner and it was elevated. I think, though, the 3rd time through, and we're seeing a little bit where he's mixing in his cutter / slider that he throws. Haven't seen too many curveballs or changeups from him. There's the cutter again. And I like the fact that he's continuing to do that, because that's how he's going to grow as a pitcher. And you get a couple of home runs hit on you. We talked about it earlier in the game. It's easier to get away from your fastball completely and really start to mix it up. And I think for him, over the course of the summer, it's going to be important to continue to throw it, missing with a couple of cutters now.
Now we're seeing more 3-ball counts here in this inning. In fact, 3 of the last 4 hitters. It's half his total for the game so far. 3-2. Ackley angling and cautious this time, really backpedals. So with 2 outs, 3 straight hits to double the home run, and now a single.
That base hit, it looked as if it was the cutter.
Now stick around after the game for Mariners postgame presented by Delta Airlines. Angie and Val get you caught up to speed on everything as we get set to head up to St. Petersburg, Florida after this game comes to a close. 27 pitches now for Taijuan Walker to get the first 2 outs here in the 5th. Smoke, the 8th batter of the inning for the Blue Jays. One ball and 1 strike. A couple of familiar faces with the Blue Jays now this year. Smoke, of course, and then Michael Saunders as well. It was nice to see Michael before game 1 of the series on the disabled list, coming back from a knee injury, knee surgery, in fact.
And with all these pitches in this inning, Danny Farquhar starting to get loose in the pen.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Taijuan trying to put a close to this 5th inning, where the Blue Jays have scored all 4 of their runs on 2 swings. Encarnacion and Ryan Goins. And as Lloyd looks on from the dugout. Gets some swinging right after it. So Taijuan is able to get through the 5th, but not after a lot of pitches. Right around 30, if not more. 4 runs in, 2 homers. Jack in the Box. Jack's hottest sandwich is back. Head to Jack in the Box for Jack's Blazing Chicken Sandwich. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. By CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Money Tree, proud to make a donation to Mariners Care for every Mariners win. Now, beautiful day here in Toronto. Mariners wrapping up the series, trying to get the sweep, but to do so, they will have to come from behind. And Mike, what exactly happened? We saw Walker, no hits over the first 4 innings, then 5 hits in a 32-pitch 5th inning with 4 runs in.
Well, I think you have to look at the way the inning started. It was Pilar with the broken bat base hit out into right field. He missed his location with Goins and ended up paying for it with the home run. I felt as if the pitch that he made to Encarnacion was a good pitch. It's where he wanted to throw it. It was a good fastball. It was right on the inside corner. But Edwin drives in a lot of runs every year for a reason, and he finally was looking inside and was able to get to it.
Ball and 2 strikes to Smith.
So Taijuan probably going to make an adjustment. We might see his curveball and his changeup a little bit more, but unfortunately in that inning a couple of home runs really hurt him. So still in this ball game though, and you were talking about it, Aaron, too. It was the 3rd time through the lineup for the Blue Jays. Well, now it's the Mariners' 3rd time through the lineup. Smith has been on base a couple of times, and Danny Farquhar has sat down in the bullpen, so it looks as if Taijuan is going to come out and pitch the 6th inning.
Well, these are 2 pitchers cut from a similar cloth. Full count, both 22. Both drafted in the first round of the same year back in 2010. In fact, drafted 9 picks apart. Cano on deck. And Smith goes chasing after it. 96-mile-an-hour fastball. And Smith retired for the first time.
Pretty good run to this fastball. Ends up well off the plate away.
One out, nobody on for Cano. 0 for 2 has bounced into a couple of double plays today. The Mariners have picked up exactly 1 hit in every inning so far. Sanchez growing up in Barstow, California. Only about 90 miles away from Yucaipa, California, where Taijuan Walker grew up. As Cano gets ahead of the count, 3-1. And we know this much about Sanchez, a young man with a very bright future, but he has had a rough go at times so far this year. His first season in the rotation, having to face Nelson Cruz next. Back-to-back 3-ball counts to begin the top of the 6th inning. Over Smoke's direction, but a foul ball. Here comes the payoff pitch to Cano. To Kawasaki. Doesn't have to move at all. 2 outs. 2 up, 2 down for Nelson Cruz. Follow the Mariners all season with MLB.com At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, even the new StatCast, and much more. Get MLB.com At Bat for your smartphone or your tablet. 2 outs, nobody on for Nelson Cruz. 0 for 2 today. Had a call overturned that would have resulted in a Mariners run and an infield single. Instead, it ended the inning.
And you can see where the movement of Sanchez's fastball is causing some problems. Talking about the start of the game, right around 60% ground balls for him, and that's the third highest rate in the American League. Another ground ball he's able to field. And that's the 10th out recorded through the ground ball, including a couple of double plays.
That's a quick 1-2-3 inning, the second in a row, spun by Sanchez. We're off to the bottom of the 6th inning. Taijuan Walker getting ready. Reminder, as always, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Seattle Mariners. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Seattle Mariners. Carrera leads off. Ball one. Miller gloving low, 360, and out number one. Let's go back to the Ford Sports Desk and bring in Angie. That sounds like good stuff, Angie. First pitch, Pilar spoils foul.
The first pitch strike was the cutter, and he started Carrera off with a curveball, so I think Taijuan was another good fastball.
Pops the bunt, but out of range.
I think we're going to see him mixing his pitches up a little bit more.
This kind of goes back to the don't change until you're forced to change, and now Taijuan has been forced to change.
Right.
The 0-2.
Another off-speed pitch from him.
Pilar pops it up. Lomo right there for round number 2. Brings in Goins, the man who got the scoring started for the Blue Jays. Back in the 5th inning with the 2-run homer. Now the Mariners came into this game hoping for a sweep. If they're able to come back, it would be the first sweep here in Toronto since 2001. Been a long time. Mariners 6-3 on the last homestand. 3-2 so far in this 3-city 9-game trip spanning the American League East. Taijuan falls behind 3-1.
Well, you can see him again. He starts off with a curveball, misses with it, comes back with a changeup, misses, fastball in the outside corner, and then he tried his changeup again.
And a walk. Fourth today from Taijuan. A 2-out base runner. As we take a glance at our CenturyLink, what's next in Tampa Bay? And Odorizzi, a former top prospect for the Royals. Now with the Tampa Bay Rays. Of course, Jay Happ pitching in the middle game of the series. And then that last one will be a lot of fun, Mike. Felix versus Chris Archer. Archer off to such a fantastic start.
Looking forward to seeing that one. And with Archer, we've seen him over the years. He has good stuff. It'll be interesting to take a real close look at him. And you showed the ERA and how well he's pitched this year.
Castillo out to have a chat. Archer had a front row seat last year as Rick Waits makes a phone call. Danny Farquhar warming up. Archer saw that 15 strikeout game from Felix in Tampa Bay, and he talked after that game and said that he learned a lot watching Felix, and hopefully that won't come back to impact that game in the final game of the series. And one of the things he talked about is something that we see with both these pitchers today. Archer's saying that I never thought of the changeup as being a power pitch.
Right.
Felix as it is, and for these two young men on the mound today, and Walker and Sanchez, same story. A lot of range there for Miller, can't get to it. Goins makes the turn, and the Blue Jays with 2 outs have runners on the corners.
Like a fastball, finds a hole on the right side of the infield, did not hit it hard. Miller was playing more towards the middle of the diamond, and Brad not able to get to it. Taijuan now at 97 pitches.
Trying to finish off this 6th inning. And Castillo back out.
Dan is throwing in the bullpen, so he must be ready to go by now. He's also up last inning.
First time Castillo and Taijuan Walker working together, of course. Walker really cruised for the most part through the first 4 innings. Had just one clean 1-2-3 frame, but did not need many pitches overall. Then ran into problems in the 5th, needed 32 to get 3 outs. The 2 home runs, both with the man on. And here comes Lloyd. So 97 pitches will be at the end of the trail today for Taijuan Walker. Danny Farquhar coming on, 2 out in the Blue Jays 6th inning. take a look at our Columbia Bank difference of the game, and it came to the fifth. A couple of homers, Mike.
Yeah, a couple of home runs, and you could see Castillo reaching back across the plate. Taijuan missing his location with that pitch. And he wanted to throw the fastball right there. Unfortunately, Encarnacion was looking in that area and hit it out of the ballpark. A couple of two-run home runs hurt Taijuan today.
Blue Jays fourth in the American League in homers entering today. They're now just 2 off the Mariners' pace. So Farquhar to face Josh Donaldson. Trying to limit the damage here in the 6th inning.
For Danny, a 5.48 ERA, 19 strikeouts in the 23 innings that Danny has worked. Opponent's hitting .286. This is his 20th appearance on the year.
Big rip there from Donaldson as Farquhar blows it past him. So Goins at third. Kawasaki, the single, is at first. Both those base runners coming with 2 outs. Of course, Farquhar, a former Blue Jay. Also spent some time in the A's organization. Big rip and a miss as he blows it past Donaldson's bat. Danny Farquhar able to clean things up a little bit at the 6th. He strands 2 base runners, and we're off to the 7th. All right, Angie, thank you. It's Kyle Seager to begin things, and he hits the first pitch he sees up the middle for a base hit. So a 2-hit day for Kyle Seager, who homered back in the 2nd. Nice way to get the Mariners' 7th inning going.
Kyle gets the first pitch fastball. Sanchez still throwing hard. This is 95 miles an hour on the outside corner. And the Blue Jays with the shift on. Kyle beating the shift with that swing.
And brings in Logan Morrison.
Roberto Osuna getting loose in the pen for the Blue Jays. Sanchez now at 90 pitches.
We saw Osuna yesterday. He's got a live arm from one fireballer to another. Lobo doubled back in the fourth. And a sharp line out in the second. And he's behind 0-2. Now the roof open once again today. It was open yesterday, closed in game one of the series, which was a night game, but back-to-back day games. Some beautiful weather. Memorial Day weekend. That's where the Mariners are spending it here in Toronto, as Seager will get a free pass in a second. That really got up and away from Russell Martin. A wild pitch turns that single into a double. Trying to get something cooking with a runner in scoring position. Chopping to Kawasaki. Able to recover for out number one. Seager meanwhile into third base.
Sure, the Blue Jays will keep their infield back. Up by 3 runs.
Well, it goes down to the books as an out, but nice to see Lomo moving the runner. Seager 90 feet from home, and an RBI chance here for Castillo, who already has one sacrifice fly on his ledger as a member of the Mariners.
And they will play their infield back. Just needs to put the ball in play.
Castillo, the Cubs starting catcher each of the last 2 years. Stings this to right field. Caught on a line by Carrera. Here comes Seager. The throw. Not in time. And up the line. Seager's safe. And the Mariners now down by just 2. Another sacrifice fly. And just a handful of games for Castillo.
He gets the job done, but unfortunately, it's right at the right fielder because he hit the ball hard. Solid line drive into right on a fastball that was down and away from him. Good at that for Castillo. Take another look at it. Lined it, but right at the right fielder.
So the Mariners now just a bloop and a blast from tying this one up. Brings in Dustin Ackley. Ackley 0 for 2, a couple of ground ball outs. Quick skimmer the other way and through. And Ackley is on base. Two-out base runner for the Mariners, and that brings in Chris Taylor. Safeco Insurance and the Mariners invite you to do more with the Grand Slam Family Package. Get 4 tickets, hot dogs, and Pepsi soft drinks for one low price this Thursday against the Indians. Visit Mariners.com to pick up family package tickets today. Well, here comes manager John Gibbons. That'll be it for Aaron Sanchez, who pitched awfully well today. A young man who's had his inconsistencies, but showed a lot of promise today, and a lot of fastballs as well. So he leads here at the top of the 7th to a standing ovation. another. We'll see Roberto Osuna for the second straight day.
Osuna in yesterday's game, he was 95, 96 miles an hour. He's pitched well. His ERA 0.81, 22 and a third, 23 strikeouts. Opponent's hitting 151 and has yet to give up a home run. He will face Chris Taylor. Chris having a good afternoon, 2 for 2 so far.
Couple of singles. So the Mariners bring the tying run to the plate. Ackley at first. Both starting pitchers today throwing 97 pitches, 58 strikes. Both exactly the same. The innings a little bit different. Not off by a whole lot. The 1-0 to Taylor. Yesterday marked Taylor's first multi-hit game of the season, and he's followed that up with another multi-hit game today. The 2-0 toss. And it makes it 3-0. Taylor did not see Osuna yesterday. He pitched just 2/3 of an inning. Faced Cruz and Seager. 3-1. Miller on deck. Now late strike call there on a borderline pitch. Miller thought it was ball 4.
Dustin will take off with the pitch, and if you're looking for a gap, Pilar is shading towards right center. Big gap in left center field.
Payoff pitch, and he pops him up. Back behind home. Martin can't get to it. Osuna's been really tough this year. Opponents barely batting above 150 against him as he'd like a new baseball. Taylor represents the tying run. And again to 3-2. And a foul ball. And Ackley taking a stroll back to first. It was Ackley who kept this inning alive with the single into left field that knocked Sanchez out of the game. 8th pitch of the at-bat coming up here to Taylor. Slicing towards the line in the corner. Carrera glides over and hauls it in. That does it for the top of the 7th. It's time to stretch. Blue Jays lead it by 2. as you consider how a Washington's lottery win would change your bucket list. Play today. 7th inning stretch here in Rogers Center. It is Country Day here at the ballpark. Many dressed appropriately as Russell Martin will lead things off in the bottom of the 7th. Danny Farquhar back up on the mound to work following Taijuan Walker. Taijuan going 5 2/3 today. 4 runs on 6 hits, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts. Farquhar made his big league debut with the Blue Jays. Pitched in all of 3 games with Toronto. And has really found a home with Seattle. Time called. Up the middle, Taylor. Out number 1.
Don't see it all the time, but Chris Taylor, he has a strong throwing arm. We saw it on the backhanded play earlier in the series, and even right there, ball wasn't hit particularly hard. He was playing over in the hole, had to range back up the middle, but every now and then he'll turn it loose. More times than not, he just gets rid of it, gets it over to first base, and throws guys out by a step or two. But when he has to put something on it, he's able to do that.
Now, the throw you were referencing from essentially shallow left field was one of the best throws we've seen him make. Encarnacion jumps on the first pitch but fouls it away. Blue Jays entering today in the top 5 in basically every offensive category in the American League, if not in baseball. And it really underscores the importance of pitching when you take a look at how their pitching numbers are just the exact opposite. They are in the very bottom of the American League, if not in baseball, in rotation, earned run average, bullpen ERA, not great as well. Overall ERA, lowest in the American League. We saw Mark Burley in the series yesterday afternoon against James Paxton. R.A. Dickey there as well. The Blue Jays 5th in the league in average, 1st in baseball in runs scored, 4th in the AL and on base, 2nd in slugging. Few teams have hit more home runs. Full count.
A couple of really good fastballs from Danny. It's good to see 95. So 2 95-mile-an-hour fastballs, both of them at the bottom of the strike zone. Unfortunately, he didn't get the call on either one.
You're right. We've seen Farquhar recently more 92, 93, maybe 94.
Danny's talked about it. His troubles have been the command of his cutter. Something he's been working on.
Here comes Miller. Off his glove. Tries to recover. And fortunately that stays on the field and does not go down the steps. Chris Colabello due up, and this has been a pretty nice series for Colabello. We saw him homer last night in the 4th inning. That gave the Blue Jays the lead. And you see that right here. Had the home run the game before against Fernando Rodney in the 9th inning. So Colabello, 3 home runs this season, 2 in this series, each of the last 2 days. And he lifts this to right field. Long run for Nelson Cruz. Off the wall. Encarnacion held up at third base. Colabello continues to rake. Stand-up double. That's the 3rd time he's reached today.
And that was on the cut fastball. 89 miles an hour on the outside corner. He hits it the other way. We showed you both the home runs. They were to left field, but this off the right field fence. Cruz getting in quickly.
So Farquhar now to face his former teammate. Here comes Justin Smoak.
Mariners bring their infield in.
Runners at second and third. Way high and outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Joe Bible beginning to loosen up in the bullpen. And time called.
So far this afternoon, we've seen the Mariners pitching a lot of fastballs to Smoak, trying to elevate him top of the strike zone.
He lines this to right field. Cruz on a bounce. Encarnacion in to score. Justin Smoak, the RBI single. Colabello to third. And it's 5-2 Blue Jays.
And it looked as if that was on an off-speed pitch and it was down out over the plate. McClendon out of the dugout. He's going to make a pitching change. Joe Beimel will be coming into the game.
That will be all for Danny Farquhar. We'll step aside. Joe Beimel coming in with 1 out and runners on the corners. The Indians. It'll be a salute to the 1990s with all the pyrotechnic effects synchronized to some of the biggest songs of the decade. For tickets, just visit Mariners.com. Runners at first and third for the Blue Jays. Bottom of the 7th. Farquhar out after 2/3 of an inning. Allowed 3 straight hits, including the RBI single to right by Justin Smoak. And Farquhar now gives way to the veteran left-hander. Here's Joe Beimel. Beimel to face Ezekiel Carrera.
And Beimel has pitched well, a 1.5 ERA for him. Opponents hitting just 190.
Colabello at third. Smoak aboard at first. Comes in with the first pitch strike.
Smoak certainly aware of the move by Beimel. He was off first base by about a foot. Not taking any chances at all.
Smoak has been on the receiving end of those throws. The lefty's 0-1. Bunt. And a firm one at that. Lomo. No play. Wanted to come home. Too late. Wanted to go to first. Too late.
Going to be an infield hit. The Blue Jays this afternoon 3 for 4 with runners in scoring position. You can see Morrison comes in right away. Thought about going to home. And Brad a little bit late to first. Tried to get there to cover. Wasn't able to get there in time. So that would be an infield hit.
It's an RBI bunt base hit for Carrera. Colabello in. Smoke now in at second for Pilar. Now these are the kind of games that the Blue Jays have to play, it seems like, over the first month and a half or so to win. They do not do well when scoring 3 runs or fewer. This is a team that, in order to win ball games with the struggles they've had pitching, have to get up in the 4, 5, 6 run mark. In fact, the Blue Jays this year have won just 1 game when scoring 3 runs or fewer. John Gibbons in his 3rd year, his 2nd stint as the manager of the Blue Jays. Was the bench coach for the Royals for a while after his first go around. In fact, Gibbons was managing in the AA Texas League in his hometown of San Antonio when he got the call to come and be the manager for the Blue Jays the 2nd time around. Smoke at second, Carrera at first, and just 1 out. Bibles 2-1. Ryan Goins on deck. He's had a nice day. The 2-run homer, a walk his last time. Carrera the bunt base hit. Yeah, the bases are loaded. Smoke into third and Carrera onto second.
Looks like Aaron Loup, the left-hander, getting loose in the pen for the Blue Jays. Mariners have the top of their order due up. Miller, Smith, Cano, all left-handed hitters.
We will see Loup when we get to the 8th. Mariners need to record a couple of outs here in the 7th first. 2 runs already in for the Blue Jays this inning. First pitch strike there from Bible.
Seager and Morrison playing even with the bag on the infield. Taylor and Miller are playing back for the double play.
Bible's 0-1. Makes it 0-2.
Good fastball from Joe, 90 miles an hour on the outside corner. Typically around 87. That was 90 right there.
Blue Jays were held off the board the first 4 innings, then hung a 4 spot in the 5th. 2 here in the 7th. One ball and 2 strikes.
Mark Lowe starting to get loose in the Mariner pen.
Carrera at second, Pilar the walk at first. Smoke at third. Two balls, two strikes to Goins, the number 8 hitter.
Kawasaki on deck for the Blue Jays.
He's reached twice today, a walk and a single. Really a lot of time between pitches here. Beimel once again to 2-2 and a full count. So Beimel was ahead, and now Goins makes it full.
Joe's been working hard trying to keep the ball away from him to get him roll over on a pitch to get the ground ball double play. But unfortunately, 3 of the pitches off the plate.
Base is full, 3 balls, 2 strikes. And a run walks in. Smoke realizes it, comes down the line and scores. 7-2 Blue Jays. And this is something the Blue Jays do well.
And back-to-back walks for Joe. 3rd RBI for Goins.
And we have a pinch hitter. Kawasaki out and Steve Tollefson in. We saw Tollefson yesterday. He plays against lefties. He got the start when Paxton was on the mound. Strike 1 at Tollefson. So 3 runs in now for the Blue Jays here in their half of the 7th. They've had 2 infield hits, 1 a bunt single, a double, another single, and a couple of walks. The 0-1. Tollefson, a one-hopper, the Seager, down to Miller, and it is in time for the double play. Much needed 2 outs to wrap up the 7th, 3 runs in. Blue Jays leading by 5, and we will see if John Gibbons wants to do something here.
Yeah, they want him to take a look at it.
So timeout. We will see what happens when they put on the headsets. We'll take a look at it.
First base umpire Will Little made the call right away as you see Brad making the turn. Strong throw to first. And on that replay, it was a lot closer than I expected it. You can see Morrison stretching out there trying to get it as quickly as possible.
That sure is close. The ball has to be in the back of the glove. It
Right.
can't
It
just
doesn't have to be closed on the ball. It just has to hit the back of the glove.
Can't be floating.
Right.
In other words. And this one is so close that it comes down to that, it looks like.
I agree. There we go. More bad news.
So Carrera in from third. And another run for the Blue Jays. We take another look. And here comes Lloyd. It'll be a 9-batter 7th inning for the Blue Jays. We've got a pitching change. That'll be it for Bible. To win some really nice prizes. We'll be posting questions and want to hear from you, so be sure to watch and follow us on Twitter at rootsports_NW. For giveaway rules, visit us at rootsports.com. We will be in St. Pete against the Rays. Off to a nice start this year. First place in the East. They have taken over the top spot from the Yankees. And you can see their starting pitching has been fantastic. A lot of strikeouts for Tampa Bay. And that is with a lot of injuries as well.
The pitching has been their strength for a lot of years now. It looks as if things haven't changed. Mark Lowe going to take over for the Mariners. A 1.59 ERA for Mark. He has 6 strikeouts for 5 2/3. Opponent sitting 273 against him. This will be his 8th appearance.
Pilar at third, and Tollefson, an all RBI fielder's choice, is over at first. Lowe needs to get just one out facing Donaldson, and he starts him off with a strike.
Donaldson with a tough day. 0 for 4 and 3 strikeouts.
Takes a healthy hack behind 0-2. Donaldson has not had a 4-strikeout game so far this season. This is only his second game with 3 punch-outs. Lowe comes home on 0-2. It's outside. Now this inning has really gotten away from the Mariners. 4 runs in the 5th, and now 4 runs here in the 7th. And hardly anything has gotten out of the infield. Just a double and a single. Donaldson, the 9th batter. And he will be fitted for a golden sombrero as Donaldson down on strikes for the 4th time. But the Blue Jays do some damage. 4 runs in their half of the 7th. They send 9 to the plate, and they lead it by 6. Roberto Osuna is done for the day as we say hello to Aaron Loup now out of the Blue Jays bullpen.
For Loup, his 18th appearance on the year, 1-2 record. High ERA, 5.87 ERA for him. Opponent's hitting .262. He's given up 3 home runs. He will face the top of the lineup. It'll be Miller, Smith, and Cano due up. And we're going to have a pinch hitter, Willie Bloomquist, going to pinch hit for Brad Miller.
Brad done for the day, 0 for 2, a walk.
Justin Ruggiano has come out on deck. He will hit for Seth Smith.
And what a day yesterday for Willie. Had the 2-run double. It gave the Mariners a 3-1 lead, and the Mariners would end up winning that one 3-2. That was a big swing. There you can see Ruggiano on deck. Ball and 2 strikes. Loup has spent his entire career with the Blue Jays in the big leagues, now in his 4th season of the majors. Originally drafted out of Tulane back in '09 by Toronto. Still 1-2. Now the Mariners starting to feel a little bit of heat in the standings from the Rangers. Texas just a half game behind the Mariners. Mariners in 3rd, the Rangers in 4th place, and Texas really playing some good baseball lately, especially offensively. Slammed into right field for a base hit off the bat of Willie Bloomquist, pinch hitting. Nice way to start off the top of the 8th.
Hendricks getting loose in the pen for the Blue Jays, and Ruggiano will pinch hit for Seth.
Seth Smith, 1 for 2, a single and a walk. And it's turned out to be another beautiful day here in Toronto, and a nice crowd for the series finale. Over 37, in fact nearly 38,000 inside Rogers Center. Of course, long known as the Sky Dome. One coming inside. This ballpark has some pretty fond memories for Howard Johnson, Mariners hitting coach. He was a 2-time All-Star, but he played in the 1991 All-Star game at this ballpark. And he was managed by Lou Piniella. Lou had won the World Series the year before. The Reds swept the Oakland A's, and Sweet Lou, now a Mariners Hall of Famer, managed the National League. Ruggiano goes fishing. 1 out.
Pretty good changeup from Loup after a couple of fastballs inside.
That'll bring in Cano.
Wonder if Lou was as fiery for an All-Star game.
And I asked Howard that, and he said, you know, he was pretty calm and laid back. Just enjoyed the day.
Had a good time.
That was a great All-Star team, though, in the National League. That was in 1991. On the National League side alone, there were 8 players who wound up in the Hall of Fame. But Howard that year ended up leading the National League in home runs with 38. Led the National League in RBIs with nearly 120. Great switch hitter.
Cano looking for his first hit in the series, and 3 ground ball outs today. Getting a chance to DH. with McClendon taking him off the field.
Cano entering today batting .253. Looks at strike 3. And he does not agree. Maybe a tad low there, as you can see. So Luke, back-to-back strikeouts after the single to Willie Bloomquist.
Fastball, and I think that Robbie was correct. It looked as if that pitch was down out of the strike zone.
Cruz jackknife for ball 1. Nelson hitless so far today. Cruz still leading baseball with 17 home runs. Bryce Harper with 16. He is tied for the league lead in batting average, hitting .352. And right now Kendrys Morales, who's been on a tear for the Royals, the American League lead with 37 runs batted in. Cruz high to center field, but Pilar is able to get there in time. Not nearly enough carry. Cruz is out to center. Bloomquist stranded at first base, and we are on to the bottom of the 8th inning with the Blue Jays in command. All right, thank you, Angie. Sounds like a plan as Mark Lowe is back on the mound to work the 8th. A couple of changes defensively for the Mariners. Willie Bloomquist taking over for Brad Miller at second base. And Ruggiano is in left field for Seth Smith. Russell Martin, a couple of Gold Gloves in his career behind home plate. Spent some time with the Dodgers, the Pirates as well. A strike there to make it 1-2.
It's good to see Mark Lowe back with the club. He's really had a good fastball. His fastball's been 94 to 96 miles an hour with a good slider. Spoke to him, he said he feels great. Nice to be healthy. and back with the Mariners.
He talked about coming back to the Mariners, and he had some interesting comments, basically paraphrasing here, saying that sometimes in this game you go to a team and you are pitching, in his case, for that team simply because they're the team that signed you, the team that drafted you. You might not feel much of a connection, especially if you're a free agent. As this is swung out and missed, and Martin, that's a couple of parting words, but Lowe's saying that really he has some deep emotions, strong emotions for the Mariners organization, the team that drafted him, and how good it feels to be back home, as he put it, with the Mariners. This is more than just a team to pitch for Martin.
Well, and also they gave him his first opportunity at the big league level, and when he was given that opportunity, it was probably the best he's ever pitched. He was outstanding when he was here. And then, of course, he moves on and start having injuries and issues. Just nothing seems to work right. And big reason why he's happy to be back here. And there's a good fastball at 96 miles an hour.
Well, this is Encarnacion earlier. A towering home run to left field, his 12th of the year. Encarnacion has reached 3 times, a walk, an infield hit, and that 2-run homer. You can see what the Blue Jays have done up and down the lineup. They've had a lot of base runners. Donaldson, the only man without a hit, along with Tolleson, who pinch hit. So Donaldson, the only starter. Now, last May, Encarnacion absolutely caught fire. He hit 16 home runs. That was the second most in baseball history in the month of May. Tied Mark McGwire and Mickey Mantle. Only Bonds hit more back in 01. He hit 17 in the month of May.
Pretty good run on that last fastball from Mark. Pitch ended up well inside. You can see our ETC tracer off the plate in.
As it's still 2-2 to Encarnacion. Bottom of the 8th, 1 out, nobody on. Seager, low backhand, takes it right there. Now number 2. Nice work by Seager, and that brings in Colabello.
We'll take a look at Kyle, see how low he gets on the backhanded play. Actually, his left knee ended up on the ground after he was able to make the catch plenty of time. Throw it across the diamond. He's had a good series in the field and at the plate. A couple of home runs for Kyle in this series.
Strike 1 to Colabello. Colabello has reached 3 times, a walk, a single, a double, and a run scored. And Lowe gets ahead 0-2. Kyle Hendricks warming up in the bullpen. Getting set to work the 9th for the Blue Jays. Mariners will have Seager, Morrison, and Wellington Castillo. 5, 6, and 7 due up. Lowe trying to finish off Colabello here. Check swing. Colabello speaks fluent Italian. Family from that area. Father played in Italy years and years ago. And he calls time. If Colabello can reach, Smoke would be next. Once again, the 0-2 off the plate. And didn't miss by much. Lowe struck out Russell Martin, got Encarnacion to ground out to Seager. Trying to spin a 1-2-3, bottom of the 8th. And the count goes even.
Mark is throwing hard. He's hit 97 a number of times. Might be the best fastball we've seen from him since being called up.
Here comes the 2-2 and a full count. Mariners off to St. Pete once this one's over with. 3-game series against Tampa Bay before coming back home. A nice long homestand. It starts with the Cleveland Indians. Mariners haven't seen much of the Central this year. Gets him swinging. Colabello not too pleased. 96 on the gun that time for Mark Lowe, who spends the first 1-2-3 innings since Taijuan Walker back in the first. Mariners catching up to do. We go to the 9th. This game early in the ball game with Taijuan Walker up at the mound against a former teammate, Justin Smoke. Against Goins, and Taijuan able to stay with to keep his foot on the bag and keep the squeeze on the ball. And we take a look, Mike, at the overall numbers for Taijuan Walker, who really got up to a fine start the first 4 innings, no hits allowed.
He did, and he went 5 2/3, 6 hits, 4 runs they were, and a couple of 2-run homers. What hurt Taijuan today? 4 walks. Had 3 strikeouts, 97 pitches, 58 of those per strike. I thought there was a lot of good in his outing today. Unfortunately, a couple of home runs, one a pitch where he missed his location. The other one I thought was a good pitch. Encarnacion was looking for that fastball inside and made him pay for it. But we saw him throw the ball hard today. He was aggressive with his fastball, was pitching inside, what you want to see. I think there was some room there for him to build off of this outing and move forward.
Now some positives there. Liam Hendricks, the new pitcher. That's Seager lost the bat. Watch out.
That ended up going over the dugout, and Kyle just making sure that everybody's okay.
Now, Kyle, as thoughtful of a big leaguer as you will find, and some obvious concern there for Kyle. Looked like everybody was all right, maybe a little nicked up, but all right in the end. Of course, this brings up memories of a couple of years ago in Houston when Kyle unfortunately lost the grip of the bat. It went into the seats and found a young man, a young Astros fan, and Kyle went above and beyond. The young fan was all right, but Kyle brought a new bat out to the fan the next day. I believe his name was Lyle. Kyle and Lyle. And Lyle wrote a nice letter to him. In fact, Kyle had a nice hit streak going with that bat, and Lyle wrote Seager a letter saying, "I know that you have a nice hit streak going with this bat. This bat wanted to make sure you could get it back." And you can see here Kyle checking to make sure that everybody's okay.
Yeah, I think part of the bat hit her in the arm, and I remember that story. Nice of the young man. I think it was the next time that we went into Houston.
Yeah.
And Kyle ended up getting together with him and signed a bunch of stuff and took some pictures. Pretty cool.
Seager out number 1, 2 left for the Mariners. A ball and a strike to Logan Morrison. That'll be about a 3.5 hour flight to St. Pete, where the Mariners start the series tomorrow against the Rays. Kevin Cash, the new manager for Tampa Bay. No more Joe Madden. Madden on, of course, to manage the Cubs.
That will be a little bit strange not seeing Madden there.
No more Joe Cool. Strike 3 on Logan Morrison. Now, Mike, in this one today, as Castillo, the last hope for the Mariners, down by a bushel. Things got started early, off to a nice start for the Mariners. Seager, the home run, now a 10-game hitting streak, 7th home run of the season. As we were just talking about, Taijuan Walker pitching well, but it was a matter of a couple of innings that kind of got away.
Yeah, and I think if you look back at the 7th inning, that's the one the Mariners able to score in the top half of the 7th, make it a 4-2 ball game. At that point, you're feeling a little bit better about things, but unfortunately, the 7th inning ended up getting away from the bullpen, and the bullpen has pitched well on this road trip. Today was a day where it just didn't work out for him. So
strike 2 on Castillo. And a crowd of close to 38,000 rising.
And we're going to see some really good pitching matchups when we get to Tampa. Tampa in first place in the East.
We'll see Elias tomorrow night against Jake Odorizzi. We'll see Jay Happ in game 2. And then the one we're all looking forward to, Felix versus Chris Archer. That'll be a day game, as you can see what's coming up. That'll be a 10:10 local time back home. And then the Mariners will hop on the flight and make the cross-country trip back to Seattle and then take on the Indians the next day.
And Felix an opportunity to get his 8th win, and we're just moving to the end of May. His 8th win.
Maybe this is the year, the first 20-win season for the King. 2 outs, nobody on. And the 1-2 to Castillo. And that'll be all she wrote. Mariners fall today in the finale. Can't quite break out the brooms, but they do win the series.